Brian? Yeah. That horse jumped, right?
Of the starters in race number 9, the Atlantic Sire Stakes 3-year-old pacing fillies in the A division. Number 1, She's a Den, owned by Philip and Milton Jenkins, driven by Ron Matheson. Number 2, PH Happy Cat, owned by Trevin Shive, driven by Rod Jameson. Number 3, EJ's Pride, owned by Judith Gooday, driven by Ernie Laffin. Number 4, Dancer's Fashion, owned by Art Kaiser, driven by Gary McDonald. Number 5, Woodmere Maddie, owned by Linda Austin, driven by Vaughn Doyle. Number 6, Woodmere Topper, owned by Dave Ratchford, driven by Dave Ratchford. Number 7, Island Tradition, owned by Maura Kerr and Claire McDonald. Claire McDonald in the sulky. Take 2 scores. I'll tell you when to report to the starter, win, place, and show betting. Triactor and Quinella, race number 9.
Race number 8 in the A division goes to Sunset Josh, and the big victory for Rod Jameson, 1,000 wins. Brent, he said that it was just another win, and that's not the answer I'd give, I don't think, and probably Rod feels a lot better than he's letting on. It's a huge number to get that 1,000th. Also, though, a little bit of action there going to the 5/8 mile post, and we were a little worried about Southview Kramer. The drivers did a great job getting around him, but you had a look at that again, I know, on the replay. What did you see?
Well, it looked to me, Chris, like that Southview Kramer saw the shadow of the light pole in the first turn. The first light pole it came to, the shadow extends over right into the first 2-horse position, and I think he did spot that just before he hit it, and he definitely made a break. And like you said, a credit to all them drivers that did escape getting around him because it was tight, and he did make a break really quick.
So we'll see more of him again in the future. There's no doubt about that. He showed some great speed, and Argo Flutie was tough again here today. But for Sunset Josh, it was his day, and that's a brand new lifetime mark for him over this racetrack, 158 4/5. The action continues, race number 9, another A division. This time for the fillies, and the All-Star, I think, has to be considered Island Tradition.
Absolutely. Here's a horse that's never been on the top 2 in all of her lifetime starts, and she is very worthy of being our pick here today for the best horse in this field, at least it looks like on paper. And Claire McDonald, what can you say about her that hasn't already been said? She's a real top woman driver. It doesn't matter if she's a man or a woman, Chris. She is a very good harness racing driver in this business, and she's very much a credit to this industry, and she certainly gets along well with this mare Island Tradition, and she certainly is our pick here this afternoon, as you see her up on our monitor right now. For second, though, I'm going to pick number 2, PH Happy Cat, with Rod Jameson, who just won the previous stake race. Now, this horse has raced very well this year as well. Got a very good post position and does like to leave, so might be cutting this race, Chris, and should be a factor in this one, and he'll be waiting for Island Tradition to come, I'm sure. For third, I'm going to pick number 5, Woodmere Maddie with Von Doyle. Pretty good chart trip last time, 2 minutes and 4/5, and she may be third best in here, but it is pretty wide open all the same.
Sure is. Claire McDonald, you mentioned right off the bat, and she recently went over the $1 million mark in career earnings. That was back at Inverness Raceway, I believe, and she continues to pick up the credits in her career, and Island Tradition's going to be very tough. We already know that she is very strong on this racetrack. Took her lifetime record as a 2-year-old in 2 minutes and 1/5 in the Williamson stake last year, and maybe she'll have another good day as we look at number 5, Woodmere Maddie. Von Doyle, the driver. I'm not going to put this in the horse in the top 3, Brent, but that bothers me a little because she's had some great charts her last 2 starts. I'm just a little bit nervous about that 5 slot for her today. PH Happy Cat, though, another solid campaigner, and Trevin Shive has done a good job with this one. We've seen her win an A-Division event already at Inverness Raceway and at Truro Raceway, so she's trying for her 3rd straight A-Division triumph. Dancer's Fashion, though, is a horse. It's going to be a bit of a long shot, I think. Gary McDonald, a good driver. That last line, although this horse has yet to race some really tough competition, has shown steady improvement. It was the 9th of June when this one was winning her in her first lifetime start in 2:07.1. Made a last to first move in that race, Brent, and even the last start at Exhibition Park Raceway showed at 5 in the half. The half was in 1:02. They breezed the last half, and she still finished up with a good 2nd place finish.
Absolutely. In Dancer's Fashion, I actually saw her warm up, Chris, here while we were out doing a previous race, and she really does look good, if that counts for anything.
And I think it does. EJ's Pride, another one with Ernie Laffin we haven't mentioned, but there's a lot of strength in this field.
Absolutely. Island Tradition does look like she is the best horse in this race, but it's very much wide open after that. And there's no guarantees. We saw in the last race, there's no guarantees in any race. It could all be wide open.
Any thoughts as we look ahead to race number 12 on the card, the 44th running of the Walter Dale? We've spoken to Gary McDonald. We won't have time, I don't think, for too much commentary, but it's going to be another great race, Brent.
It is, and we've seen most of the horses warm up here this afternoon, and I have to say, Chris, that they all look good.
They all do, and it's going to be a great race. So is race number 9. It's coming right up. Good luck with your selections here in the 9th. Another A-Division event, this one for the fillies.
Here they come. They're off, and as it be the wire, she's a den down along the rail. PH Happy Cat moves 2 between horses. Woodmere Maddie up 3 on the outside as they race into that turn. Island Tradition follows along in 4. EJ's Pride is in 5. Dancer's Fashion is 6. Woodmere Topper 7 as they straighten into the backstretch with PH Happy Cat showing the way.
5.
She's a Den is in 2. Woodmere Maddie is 3. Island Tradition in 4. EJ's Pride is 5. Dancer's Fashion and Woodmere Topper by the quarter. In 29 and 4, they race into the barn turn. First time round. It's PH Happy Cat. She's a Den is in 2. Woodmere Maddie 3. Island Tradition now moves out from 4. They swing off the 3/8 now, heading down the stretch for the half. It's PH Happy Cat Island Tradition now up 2 on the outside. She's a Den is in a 3. Dancers Fashion follows cover 4 on the outside. Woodmere Maddie is in a 5. EJ's Pride is 6. Woodmere Topper in 7. They're by the half, 101 and 2. It's PH Happy Cat. Island Tradition 2 on the outside. She's a Den in 3. Dancers Fashion is a 4. Woodmere Maddie is in 5. EJ's Pride is 6. Woodmere Topper 7. They race for the 3/4. Island Tradition nosing to the front by that 3/4.
A half, 3 by 1 over the 6.
3/4, 01, 30 and 3. Island Tradition. PH Happy Cat is in 2. She's at in 3. Woodmere Maddie moves 4 on the outside. EJ's Pride is in 5. Woodmere Topper 6 and off stride. Dancers Fashion they swing for home with Island Tradition. PH Happy Cat. She's a Den. EJ's Pride at the wire. Island Tradition. PH Happy Cat, there will be a photo for show between EJ's Pride and She's a Den. Time for the mile, 2 minutes and 1/5 seconds. We remind you, hold all mutual tickets. There is an inquiry of possible interference at the half by the 5-horse Woodmere Maddie on the 6-horse Woodmere Topper. We'll be at 3/4 in, George. Okay. Rather keeping his horse right out on the track, too. He said that Claire hit him. On the train.
Coming off turn, hitting for home. Go ahead.
Running and then took his horse off the track. He just stopped down there on the turn. Claire stopped there too. She must have thought there was some weight against her. Right there, isn't it? Well, There will be placings here in race number 9. Parade the 2-horse, please, the 2-horse.
It should be 7. 7 should have been on top. 4 was second. Yeah. And then it would be 2, 1. 2, 1, 3, 5, 6. Yep. Okay. Right. That's right there. A couple of numbers. We got it all straight. Did you?
Goes the placing now back to the winner circle number 2, PH Happy Cat. 3-year-old bay filly by Happy Family out of Gold Finder. Owned by Trevin Shive of Elmsdale. Bred and trained by Trevin Shive, driven by Rod Jameson. Winner of the Atlantic Sire Stakes, 3-year-old pacing fillies in the A division. So you got tapes in the next, right in that door there, yeah.
4, 2 placed 1, 3, 7, 5, 6, 1 placed 2.
So that's interference on the...
The other objection was disallowed at the half.
What the placing was
Interference on the top turn.
second time around.
All right, I'm here with Trevin Shive, trainer of PH Happy
Results
Cat.
all
Just
right.
quickly, Trevin, not the way you'd hoped to win it, but they all count.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's hate to see things like that happen, but they were tight in the turn there, and I thought Claire might have cleared.
Number 4, Dancers Fashion, was 7. Number 5, Woodmere Maddie, was 5. Number 6, Woodmere Topper, was 6. Number 7, Highland Tradition, finished 1, place 2 for interference with PH Happy Cat in the barn turn, second time round. From the top down, the placings would read 4, 1, 3, 7, 5, 6, 2. Is the time allowed in that? Is the time allowed in a placing like that? Okay. Coming up for race number 10, B division, the Atlantic Sire Stakes 3-year-old pacing colts with 8 starters, no changes.
Gus Mazuka to the race office for a message.
Gus Mazuka, report to the race office for message. Gus Mazuka, report to the race office, please. Now parading are the starters in race number 10, the Atlantic Sire Stakes 3-year-old pacing colts in the B division. Number 1, Peter T. Down, owned by Milton Downey, driven by Mike Downey. Number 2, Milwaukee Iron, owned by Greg Hunt and Mike Campbell, driven by Steve Mahar. Number 3, B.A. Contender, owned by W.E. Andrew and B.H. Andrew, driven by Gary McDonald. Number 4, Dunacton Ben, owned by Boyd McDonald Produce, driven by Gilles Berriot. Number 5, Sea of Fury, owned by Wathan Pierce, driven by Emmons McKay. Number 6, Billy G, owned by Roger Fagan, driven by Shane Bernard. Number 7, Edgewater Storm, owned by Clonmel Stables, Ross and Don Galbraith, driven by Todd Trites. And number 8, Ed's Echo, owned by Alan Jones, and in Legier Stables, Alan Jones in the sulky. Take 2 scores, gentlemen. I'll tell you when to report to the starter. Win, place, and show betting, Triactor and Quinella, race number 10.
Atlantic Sires action still to come here from Fredericton Raceway. Race 10 is a B division event. In this last race, Island Tradition placed back to second. They award the race to Rod Jameson with his horse. And Greg, at the head of the stretch, I understand that there may have been some interference there?
Well, midway on the last turn, Claire's horse was taking the lead, was almost clear, and I guess it was just a little bit close, and the judges deemed that she didn't quite have sufficient room to come over, and that was the reason for the placing. It's very unfortunate because Island Tradition was the better horse on this day, no question. She raced huge, came first up and won rather handily. Not taking anything away, though, from PH Happy Cat. Talking to Trevin there in the winner's circle, he admitted, you know, he doesn't like to win that way, but he'll take it. And, you know, there will be a lot of better days for Island Tradition for sure this summer, and these two fillies. We can look forward to more good battles between these two, I think, all summer long.
And Trevin Shive has had his share of misfortune also this season, and so it's good to see him get back into the winner's circle, and he's having a lot of luck with PH Happy Cat, and there's no doubt that he's got to be thrilled about that. That's a third A-Division win for the horse, the daughter of Happy Family. Race 12 with the Walter Dale still to come, but race 10 is next, and we've got another crowd of Atlantic Sire Stakes horses. This time around, it's the Colts.
Well, we've got an interesting group here, and the horse that catches my eye, and I'm sure most of the betting public, has to be number 7, Edgewater Storm. Todd Treitz will handle this one for Ross Galbraith. Todd, we already saw score a win earlier this afternoon, and he's been red hot here at Fredericton Raceway. This is a gelding by Make a Match. Had one start so far this season. That was at Exhibition Park Raceway. Won rather easily, 202 and 4, last half in 101. Looks on paper to be the horse to beat here for sure. If he can follow up with just slight improvement, I think he will be the definite top selection here. Horse with a lot of ability, but that's been a little bit in and out, has to be number 4, Dunacton Ben. Gilles Barrio steers this one for owner Boyd McDonald, trainer Everett Lowther. Shows ability. You look 2 starts back, was 6th at the quarter, suffered interference, still went on to win in 203 and 4. Last time, though, made a costly break at the 3/4 pole, rallied for 3rd. A horse who, on his best behavior, could certainly make some noise and possibly win this race. To round out my top 3, going to number 2, Milwaukee Iron, Steve Mahar, another driver who's had a good day so far. This horse is 0 for 8 this season, but 5 on the board finishes, often hits the board, and I think fits well in here.
This is one of those rare occasions where Greg and I agree exactly, and 7, 4, and 2 are going to be my numbers as well. Edgewater Wave was a stakes-winning horse that we saw years ago for Mel Land, and so maybe we'll see that pattern continue. Mel had a great win earlier today with Hillview Jenna, and Edgewater Wave was good for him. We're getting a look at Steve Mahar. He's catch-driving Milwaukee Iron for trainer Mike Campbell today. Milwaukee Iron makes my top 3. Based on the good post position, and as well, he's been aggressive in his last couple of races. It looks like Steve's been getting along with him well. This horse was a winner in 207 and 1 at the age of 2, and we'll see bigger and better things from him, I think. Dunacton Ben, Gilles Barrio catch driving today. You can't go wrong with that. And this son of Hunterstown, like you say, Greg, has also shown lots of ability and good
Call
speed.
the Pacers.
We're going to have a start at this race very, very shortly, and be a contender for Gary McDonald. Might be one of those 4th horses that we're looking at if you have another opportunity to put a 4th horse into your tri-actor ticket.
Well, you're always looking for one for value, and if you're shopping for value, I agree. I think that's the horse you would want to look at here. There's a couple of others as well, and it should be a pretty interesting race.
It will be, and still to come, the 44th running of the Walter Dale Memorial. That one in race 12. Race number 10 is just around the corner. Enjoy race 10 from Fredericton Raceway.
There is a recall. There is a recall.
No, I was up here, so.
Kid is at the head of the stretch. Here they come. They're off in the city of the wire. Milwaukee Iron drives for the top. Billy G drives 2 on the outside. Sea of Fury in between. Horses in 3. BA Contender down along the rail. They race in the turn. Milwaukee Iron, Billy G 2 on the outside. BA Contender is in the 3. Sea of Fury is 4 on the outside. Now backs off. Moving along now to be 4 is Peter T down.
2, 3, 5.
They race on for the quarter. Billy G now moves to the top. Milwaukee Iron is into. BA Contender is 3. Sea of Fury on the move. 4 on the outside. Peter T down in 5. Moving 6, Edgewater Storm. Ed's Echo is in 7. Dunacton Ben is 8. They're by the first quarter, 30-1. They swing off the 3/8 now, heading for the half with Billy G. Milwaukee Iron is in 2. Sea of Fury is 3 on the outside. They're out and driving as they reach the half now. 3 abreast. Sea of Fury to the top. Edgewater Storm now moves up 2 on the outside. They're by the half, 102-3. It's Sea of Fury, Edgewater Storm now up to be 2 on the outside, driving on for the top. Now moving from 3 goes Dunacton Ben. Milwaukee Iron on the move now from 4, Ed's Echo 5. BA Contender 6.
2,
Billy G and Peter T down. Edgewater Storm with that lead by the 3/4. Dunacton Ben in 2. Milwaukee Iron is 3. Ed's Echo in 4. 3/4, 133-3. It's Edgewater Storm. Dunacton Ben in 2. Milwaukee Iron 3. Ed's Echo is 4. BA Contender Peter T down. Sea of Fury and Billy G, the race for the wire. It's going to be Edgewater Storm at the wire. Edgewater Storm, Dunacton Ben, Ed's Echo. Time for the mile, 2:03-4. Now back to the winner's circle, number 7, Edgewater Storm, a 3-year-old brown gelding by Make a Match out of Edgewater Wave. Bred by Ronald McInnes, owned by Clonmel Stables, Ross and Don Galbraith of St. John, trained by Ross Galbraith, driven by Todd Treitz. Time for the mile, 2:03-4. What were those? I got the quarter 30 and 1. The half was. What were the quarters there?
30 and 1,
Yeah.
2 and 3,
Right.
33 and 3,
Okay.
and 3 and 4.
Yep. Results of race number 10 are official. Number 1, Peter T. Down was 6. Number 2, Milwaukee Iron was 4. Number 3, BA Contender was 5. Number 4, Dunacton Ben was 2. Number 5, Sea of Fury was 8. Number 6, Billy G was 7. Number 7, Edgewater Storm, your race winner. Number 8, Ed's Echo was 3. From the top down, read 6, 4, 5, 2, 8, 7, 1, 3. There's the quarter 30 and 1. The half was 102 and 3. 3/4 133 and 3 with a mile in 203 and 4. Up and coming are race number 11, an A division for the fillies. 8 starters, no changes. Don't forget in the Wheels and Wagers contest, should have marked off anything pertaining to number 6 on your card. Number 3. Number 4. Number 2. And number 7 should now be marked off. Don't forget, if you fill your card, they get the Atlantic Lottery table under the grandstand. Operating are the starters in race number 11, the Atlantic Sire Stakes 3-year-old pacing fillies in the A division. Number 1, Rip Roarin' Snortin', owned by Brian and Frederick Collings, driven by David O'Brien. Number 2, Happy's Misbehavin', owned by Wayne Ivany and Mark Jameson, driven by Rod Jameson. Number 3, Glengyle Marge, owned by Jim McGregor, driven by Earl Smith. Number 4, Southern Jewel, owned by John Watkins, driven by Ernie Laffin. Number 5, Kiermore, owned by Louis Clark, driven by Steve Mahar. Number 6, Smile and Wine, owned by Cynthia Cody, driven by Ken Arsenault. Number 7, West River Jewel, owned by West River Stock Farm, driven by Ken McDonald. Number 8, Woodmere Raindrop, owned and driven by Ralph Annear. Take 2 scores, gentlemen. I'll tell you when to report to the starter, win, place, and show betting, Triactor and Quinella, race number 11.
Rapidly approaching post time for this year's running of the Walter Dale Memorial from Fredericton Raceway. I'm joined once again here by Brent Briggs. But before we get to the Walter Dale, we've got one more race to go, another quality group of 3-year-old pacing fillies here. It's another A division. And Brent, maybe not the big names like we had in the previous A division, but I think maybe more depth and a lot more evenly matched field.
Absolutely, but there is one big name we do got to pay attention to, and that's number 3, Glengall Marge with Earl Smith. This filly was a top filly last year. She won 6 of 16 starts, and 2 of those wins, one was in the Dairy Queen Championship and the other one the Atlantic Sire Stakes Championship, and she won over $50,000 last year, and that's worth mentioning too. So I guess you can make some money with a filly if you have a good one. And she looks like she is the horse to beat in here. She won her last start in 2 minutes and 4/5 and looks like she is coming on pretty strong. So I want to pick her to win in here. For second, I want to pick number 4, Southern Jewel with Ernie Laffin. This horse just took a new record of 1:59.3 at Truro Raceway, and she too is coming on pretty strong. And for third, I'm going to the inside and picking number 1, Rip Roaring Snorton. That's a good name for David O'Brien. And she has 2 wins, 2 seconds, and 5 starts. And with a good post position, she's going to be right around there. And this whole field does have a lot of depth, though, like you said.
Well, the horse you mentioned for third is the one I'm going to use on top in here, Rip Roaring Snorton. From the rail post, David O'Brien has a great chance here to be aggressive, and she definitely looks like she belongs here. 2 wins, a couple of second-place finishes from 5 tries, and this was another who was a top filly last year, close to $18,000 in earnings, and definitely has to be respected from the rail. Glengall Marge, of course, one that you have to think is going to be a top contender here, has not missed the board in 3 starts, and as you mentioned, was a top-flight filly last year as a 2-year-old. To round out my top 3, going to talk about one we haven't mentioned so far. That's number 8, Woodmere Raindrop. This is the full sister to Woodmere Top Cat and a filly who seems to have a lot of potential. She was involved in an accident 4 starts back, but she has returned very well since that, so that's good to see. And I think she could be a factor today, depending on what happens up front. But as you mentioned, the depth here, we haven't even mentioned a horse like number 2, Happy's Misbehavin', and has a red-hot driver this afternoon in Rod Jameson.
Absolutely, and you were mentioning Woodmere Raindrop was up on the screen now. A full sister to Woodmere Top Cat, and of course he's the former Horse of the Year here at Fredericton Raceway and in the Maritimes as well, and we all know his story. He has 2 track records and a record of 153, and some of that breeding is certainly coming out in this filly here too, and she certainly has a shot in here. And like you said, number 2, Happy's Misbehavin' with Rod Jameson. Rod's had a pretty good afternoon with 2 wins already, and a pretty good field. Glengall Marge looks like she might be the best, but she certainly doesn't lay over the field. Very competitive.
And it's our final stakes race of the afternoon. Brent, your overall impressions on what you saw here this afternoon as far as our 3-year-old colts and fillies go?
Well, as we predicted up front, it's been a great afternoon of harness racing here. It's been great to be part of all this, and we haven't seen the fastest times that you might expect for a very fast track and ideal conditions, but what we have seen is some very competitive racing and a lot to look forward to in the Sire Stakes circuit for the rest of the year, and make sure you catch it wherever you are this summer.
Okay, it's really going to bring us up well to our final race of the day. That'll be coming up in race 12, again, the 44th running of the Walter Dale Memorial. But first up, race number 11. We're nearing post time. Good luck.
Down to 2 minutes, just 2 minutes now remaining for race number 11. Your last chance at the mutuals. Hurry in. starter. Call the pacers. One more to go. The starter has the horses of race number 11, the Atlantic Sire Stakes for 3-year-old pacing fillies in the A division. They're going for $8,000. We have Rip Roarin' Snortin' with David O'Brien, Happy's Misbehavin' with Rod Jameson, Glengyle Marge with Earl Smith, Southern Jewel with Ernie Laffin, Kiermore with Steve Mahar, Smile and Wine with Ken Arsenault, West River Jewel with Ken McDonald, Woodmere Raindrop with Ralph Annear. Kid is at the head of the stretch. Here they come. They're off. Happy's Misbehavin' drives for the top, racing into that first turn. Glengyle Marge up 2 on the outside, down along the rail. Rip Roarin' Snortin' as they race in the turn. Happy's Misbehavin', Rip Roarin' Snortin' now takes control of the race along the rail. Happy's Misbehavin' Park 2 on the outside. Kiermore moves along now in 3. Glengyle Marge is in 4. Southern Jewel is 5. West River Jewel is in 6. Smile and Wine is 7. And Woodmere Raindrop 8 as they race into the barn turn first time round. They're by the quarter 29-1. It's a Rip Roarin' Snortin'. Happy's Misbehavin' is 2 on the outside. Kiermore in along the rail in 3. Glengyle Marge now swings out 3 wide to challenge from 4. They come racing to the half. Glengyle Marge now moves to the top. Rip Roarin' Snortin' is in 2. Kiermore is 3. Happy's Misbehavin' in 4. West River Jewel 5. Southern Jewel is in 6. Smile and Wine 7. And Woodmere Raindrop 8. They're by the half, 59-3, racing on for the 3/4 with Glengyle Marge. Rip Roarin' Snortin' into Happy's Misbehavin' drives up now 2 on the outside. Smile and Wine moves 3 on the outside as they race by that 3/4 with the Glengyle Marge.
1 by 1.
3/4, 129-3. Glengyle Marge, look out, you got company coming in the barn turn. Glengyle Marge along the rail. Smile and Wine now drives 2 on the outside. Kiermore up to be 3. Happy's Misbehavin' is 4. They swing 4 home. It's Smile and Wine. Kiermore on the outside. Happy's Misbehavin' in the middle of the track as they come racing to the wire. It's going to be Smile and Wine. Kiermore. Happy's Misbehavin'.
Yeah, I think I got everything. I think that 6 7. Is that it?
Time for the mile, 2:01-4.
I think that was 129.3, but I'm not sure.
129-3, 3/4, George. Okay.
What happened to the 3-horse? He was up by 5 lengths. 3/4.
Puked.
Holy.
It looked like he was going to go, and over here, they just kind of slow down.
I didn't get to see the race.
That thing of Roddy's was a tough trip.
Yeah, it
Never
sure
saw
did.
the rail. It looked like he had the rail, and then all of a sudden...
One horse should have let him go, but the one horse was way up the track.
Yeah.
Swimming?
Yeah.
Where?
I'm excited, Jack.
Let's go skinny dipping somewhere.
You mean between race cards?
Yeah.
Now back to the winner's circle. Number 6, Smile and Wine. 3-year-old brown filly by quick comeback out of Charlotte's Rosie. Bred by the Loomcroft Stables. Owned by Cynthia Cody of Charlottetown. Trained and driven by Kenny Arsenault to a new lifetime mark of 2:01 and 4. All official? Results of race number 11 are official. Number 1, Rip Roarin' Snortin' was 7. Number 2, Happy's Misbehavin' was 3. Number 3, Glengyle March was 6. Number 4, Southern Jewel was 8.
Right back
Number
in the winner's
5,
circle with Kenny
Kiermore was
Arsenault.
2.
Kenny, this is a super trip for this filly, a brand new lifetime mark for Smile and Wine, 2:01 and 4, the time for the mile. Your eyes had to light up with those fast early fractions.
Well, that's the beauty of horse racing, Chris. Anybody can win, eh? Anybody can win. So fast halves make good racing two-way. They got me out sitting second last, and slow half I don't win. Fast half I win it.
At what point in the mile did you feel like you had a legitimate shot?
Past three-quarter pole when Earl's filly started to come back. Like she get really weak there that part of the mile, and I kind of started getting closer and closer. Geez, I got a shot here, and geez, I had a real good shot.
Excellent, and I know that the Codys are very happy. They've had Chemo Dino racing exceptionally well for you earlier this year, and now this, they've got to be thrilled.
Well, Morris and I have been together for 12 years, you know, and geez, it's great to see a fella like him win it. He's been in the game when the times were tough, and still in it, eh? And that's what we need, eh? It's great.
Super trip, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's Kenny Arsenault winning with Smile and Wine, a big long shot in this race, and gets the mile accomplished in 2:01 and 4 in Atlantic Sire Stakes action for A Division fillies.
We're just back at Fredericton Raceway. You heard Kenny Arsenault there in the winner's circle with Chris Connor. Pretty happy winner, a long shot winner there. Just for the benefit of those folks watching in today off track, we're going to give you the official rundown from that 11th race. From the top down, Rip Roarin' Snortin' 7th, Happy's Misbehavin' 3rd, Glengyle Marge was 6th. Southern Jewel 8th, Kearmore 2nd, Smile and Wine the race winner, West River Jewel 4th, and Woodmere Raindrop was 5th. Again, recapping from the top down, 7, 3, 6, 8, 2, 1, 4, 5. And again, we want to thank you for joining us this afternoon on the Atlantic Harness Network. We'll be back momentarily following this post parade, which is coming up next.
James Ellis, driven by Darren Crow. Number 2, Mr. Rude, owned by Sandra Foley, driven by Steve Mahar. Number 3, Rembrandt Blue Chip, owned by Milton Downey, driven by Steve Mason. Number 4, Elmhurst Looker, owned by Tom McPherson, driven by Earl Smith. Number 5, You're the Man GB, owned by Ian Moore and Jerry Hayward, driven by Ian Moore. Number 6, Stetson Any Size, owned by Bob Craswell and Lowell Stead, driven by Albert Bernard. Number 7, Bonnert, owned by Paul and Andrew Rogerson, driven by Paul Rogerson. Number 8, Euripides, owned by Jack McNeil, Gary McDonald in the sulky. Take 2 scores, gentlemen. I'll tell you when to report to the starter, win, place, and show betting. Triactor and Quinella, race number 12, the Walter Dale Memorial.
Talk about lighting up the tote board. Race number 11, $111 winner and a place ticket on Kearmore. We know that the fans in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia were cheering for Louis Clark's horse, and this horse returning $77 to place. Greg, I think Kenny Arsenault summed it up best. He said, you just never know in horse racing, and that's exactly the theme, I think, in race 11.
That was a major shocker. I don't think there was anybody in the place expecting that from Smile and Wine. On second glance, though, you look at the program, and this is a filly who was putting up some decent yard lines and who is on the improve. Would have been hard to predict that she would have been up to beating this caliber this afternoon, but the race set up perfectly, and there's another one stamping herself as one of the top filly pacers in the region.
Certainly is. And Brent, you talked a little bit earlier about Woodmere Topcat last year. Like race number 11, Woodmere Topcat was not expected to win last season's Walter Dale. He did that and went on to take Atlantic Post Call's Horse of the Year award in the Maritime Provinces. We won't see Todd Trites back in this race. He's had 2 wins in the Atlantic Sire Stakes, so we'll see a brand new winner for sure, but there's a lot of talent in the 44th running of the Walter Dale.
Absolutely, Chris, and this is a very competitive field, and Euripides looks like he might be the horse to beat in here. I mean, he's just have set 2 track records in Sydney and Inverness, and but he does have the 8-hole, and that may or may not be a handicap to him. And I think it does is strengthen the field a little bit. There's no real layovers in this field, believe it or not, and it's going to be a very competitive race.
We're going to put you on the limb. How do you see this race coming together?
Well, if I want to be really honest with you, I do like Euripides quite a bit, but my pick is going to be number 5, You're the Man GB with Ian Moore, and I'm picking him because I think that he is on the gate. That's going to be a big factor. Ian Moore is known as a very aggressive driver with all the horses he has, and this horse shows he can go. He shows a couple of wins in his last 6 starts, in 56-4 and 157 at Elmira. That's probably a track that's a lot like this one, Chris, and I think that if he gets him off the gate real strong and gets into position early, he's going to be the horse to beat. Now, I've said that, and I've never seen the horse race before, and I think it's hard to pick a race without seeing all the horses before, but he's my pick in this one. For second, I'm going to go with Euripides for second, and the only reason I'm probably not picking him is because of his post position, but he certainly is going to be a factor in this race for sure. I saw this horse warming up, and it's the first time I have ever seen him, and he was very impressive. A nice looking horse. For third, I'm going back to the inside and picking number 1, Pushing Daisies with Darren Crow, and this horse finally has a good post position, Chris, and this horse will be a factor. I expect Darren Crow to be cutting this mile, and he's going to be a factor in this race because of good post position, and he does show some good charts in 57 off the front, and he's going to be a factor in this one. Mr. Rude is another horse that I didn't pick, but I want to pick because he's the hometown favorite. He's got the 2-hole. He's going to get a pretty good trip. He's got Steve Mahar driving him, and this horse has been known to come up with a big trip when the money's on the line. I hate to leave him out, and he's going to be right there too. He could be also a long shot pick that could get the job done in here.
We might see some more long shot activity, and Greg, as we have 4 minutes to post time before this race, we've seen it before here. The Walter Dale was won by Happy Family a few years back. The last time that this race was run in the afternoon, we had a track record performance from Shannon Commander for owner Ashley Sloat and driver Gary McDonald. Gary has already knocked off 2 more track records in the Maritimes, but as Brent has said, I think Pushing Daisies with that improvement in post position might be even more of a factor than he was at Inverness 2 weeks ago.
Well, I expect Pushing Daisies to be pushing the rail, so to speak, here today. With rail advantage, I expect Darren Crow to be extremely aggressive with this one. He has turned in some good races, but hasn't quite lived up to the billing since arriving here. Today's his chance to show his stuff, and I know in talking to Darren Crow last week, he sort of feels this horse is a grinder, a horse that you just want to have him out and going with a clear shot at things, and from the rail he should be able to work out that kind of a trip here this afternoon. I'm going to go with Pushing Daisies. He's hasn't had this good of an opportunity thus far since coming to the Maritimes, and I think he can get the job done today. I'm going to go with one we haven't talked about yet, but a horse who's been ultra impressive at St. John, and that's Rembrandt Blue Chip. Admittedly a big jump up in company here, but I think this horse is very adept to half-mile racing. It seems that he's taken to the half-mile tracks here, and I'm going to give him a good shot. He's got a good early speed. I think he'll be well spotted in here. Euripides, of course, really the horse to beat coming in on current form. I am also concerned about the trailing post 8, and I think that could be a definite hindrance, but just depends on how the race develops. Euripides certainly comes into the race in top form and cannot be overlooked. Honestly, though, I agree with Brent. This is an outstanding, very evenly matched field. I think it's the best field we've had assembled so far in the Maritimes this year, and I could legitimately see 5 or 6 horses that could win this race.
Don't forget, we've already had some great thrills in Cape Breton Island this year, and the next invitational race for horses of this caliber will be the Levat Memorial, which comes up on July 10th. That's a week from Saturday, and it's going to cap off a great week of racing next week, Monday and Thursday and Saturday nights at Tartan Downs. Jack McNeil, the owner on Euripides, and as you mentioned, he's got to be the horse to beat in here. He's provided so many thrills for fans at Inverness and Sydney already this year. Didn't look like the world beater in his first start at Truro Raceway when he was on the outside for the entire mile with cover, but at the same time, Brent, this is a horse who's been able to overcome tougher things. He had that fantastic half at Inverness Raceway. This race, though, I think for myself, I'm going to go with horse 2, Pushing Daisies from the rail, but there's one other, and credit to the field again. I've got to put Bonnard into the top 3, so I'm going with 1, 7, and 8 for his trailing post, and we've all put the 8 in. None of us has picked him to win, but at the same time, I think there are going to be a lot of fans out there who do select this horse for the victory.
Absolutely, Chris, and the fact that we agree and disagree on all of our picks only goes to show you how competitive this field is, and it's going to be a very good race. You mentioned Bonnard, another horse that I noticed warming up that looks really impressive, and I haven't seen a horse in this field yet today that looks like he isn't going to be a factor in this one.
This race has all the content. The hometown favorite is here, the recent track record setter, the king of Cape Breton, Euripides, and many more. Our first look at You're the Man GB, it's coming up next on the Atlantic Harness Network.
Starter, call the Pacers. The starter has the horses, race number 12, the Walterdale Memorial Invitational Pace, going for a purse of $5,000. You're the man, GB, acting up a bit on the backstretch. There'll be a recall. They'll scratch him now. Oh my God. Going crazy, look. Holy shit. If they refund that, it's going to take the whole pool. It's got to be scratched, eh? Number 5, You're the Man GB, will be scratched here in race number 12. You're the Man GB will be scratched here in race number 12.
Why do they have to scratch them?
If they go down on the track, it's automatic, isn't it, Paul? Yep. If they go down. Yep.
Back at Fredericton Raceway, just a slight delay before the running of the 44th Walterdale Memorial. The unfortunate occurrence here for You're the Man GB and Dr. Ian Moore. The horse on the backstretch, as we were waiting to go to post time, the horses were actually in behind the gate, and You're the Man GB would not report to the gate, reared up and fell over backwards. And so with the horse falling on the racetrack prior to post time, the scratch is automatic, and we will have a couple of extra minutes before we go to the gate with the Walterdale Memorial. It's down to a field of 7, and they'll go to the gate very shortly with the Walterdale Memorial Invitational at Fredericton Raceway.
With Paul Rogerson and Euripides with Gary MacDonald. Gate is at the head of the stretch. Here they come. They're off and pushing daisies, drives to the top, racing for that first turn. Rembrandt Blue Chip moves 2 on the outside. Mr. Rude down along the rail in 3. Bonnard is in 4. Stetson any size is 5. Now up 5 along the rail goes Euripides. Elmhurst Looker trails as they race on for that first quarter with Pushin' Daisies.
1, 3 out, 2,
Mr. Rude now moves along the rail to be 2.
6.
Rembrandt Blue Chip is in 3 by that first quarter. In 27-3. They're racing in the barn turn. It's Pushin' Daisies. Mr. Rude is in 2. Rembrandt Blue Chip in 3. Bonnard is 4. Euripides in 5. Stetson any size is 6. And from the rear of the pack comes Elmhurst Looker as they race down the stretch for that first half with Pushin' Daisies. Mr. Rude is close at 2. Rembrandt Blue Chip is 3. Euripides now on the move. 4 on the outside as they pass the half. In 57-3, racing on for the 5/8, it's Pushin' Daisies. Mr. Rude is close at 2. Rembrandt Blue Chip in 3. Euripides now moves 4 on the outside. Bonnard is in the 5. Elmhurst for Looker and Stetson any size. It's still Pushin' Daisies. Mr. Rude in 2. Euripides up 3 on the outside. Rembrandt Blue Chip in 4. Elmhurst Looker now 5. Bonnard is 6 and Stetson any size. Euripides springs to the front on the outside. Down along the rail, Pushin' Daisies is in at 2. Rembrandt Blue Chip is in 3, and on the outside, Mr. Rude drives up in the middle of the track. They come racing for home with Euripides. Down along the rail, Rembrandt Blue Chip. In between horses, Pushin' Daisies at the wire. Euripides, Rembrandt Blue Chip, and Mr. Rude. Time for the mile, 1:57-2.
I got it. Around there, might be a little more.
What was third quarter, George? Last quarter, 30 seconds?
Is that pen for me, Joe? Do you need it?
Oh, the more official will, but that's all.
All right, Gary McDonald, congratulations, winning the 44th running of the Walter Dale with Euripides. That's 3 in a row now over the Maritime Free-for-All circuit. You got to be real happy with this guy.
Oh yeah, he's just a nice horse. He showed it today. He can do it any way you want to do it. He can come in the back. He can do it on the front.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. We talked earlier this afternoon to you, and you said the ace in the hole for this guy is his ability to leave. But he did show some versatility today. A tough first over trip.
Yeah, he got covered, but the cover wasn't really that much good. And he kept coming first up. And he just kept coming, and he was strong at the wire. Like Ian's horse getting scratched now is a big plus in my, in my behalf.
All right, we'll let you go and enjoy it. Gary McDonald, again, congratulations. Euripides' 3rd straight win in the Maritime Free-for-All circuit. Impressively this afternoon in 1:57-2.
Now back to the winner's circle, number 8, Euripides, a 6-year-old bay gelding by Chameleon out of Rihanna, owned by Jack McNeil of Sydney, Nova Scotia. Driven to victory by Gary McDonald. Time for the mile, 1:57-2. You get that official now?
4, 3, 2, 1, scratch.
No. 4, 3, 2, 5. Results of race number 12, our official. Number 1, Pushing Daisies, was 4. Number 2, Mr. Rude, was 3. Number 3, Rembrandt Blue Chip, was 2. Number 4, Almahurst Looker, was 5. Number 5 had been drawn. Number 6, Stetson Any Size, was 7. Number 7, Bonnert, was 6. Number 8, Euripides, your race winner. From the top down reads 4, 3, 2, 5, scratch 7, 6, 1. There's quarter 27 and 3, the half 57 and 3, 3/4 of 127 and 2 with a mile in 157 and 2.